This next video I'm going to talk about how to do custom entries in HowCustomEntries. To get there, you're going to be at the home page. In the top right hand corner, you're going to be at the top level organization. We're going to click on Setup and we're going to click on Manage Custom Entries. This will bring us into the Manage Custom Entry screen. You can do custom entries on SKUs, stores, or customers. Now in HowCustomEntries, we already track suppliers, classes, and size types for each SKU. This gives you another option to create some custom entries to pull out additional information for reporting purposes. Now I'm going to pull up an example of a SKU custom entry for you. You have the custom entry title, what type it is, whether it's a customer custom entry, a SKU custom entry, or a store custom entry. I'm going to go ahead and select the one for SKU called keywords. You'll see that that comes up on the screen. It says that it's SKUs, and then you'll see the keywords to the right. So maybe when you're creating a SKU, there is a SKU that's been discontinued and you want to track that, so on your reporting you want to print out everything but discontinued SKUs. You don't really want to create a supplier for it or a class for it, but here we can create a custom entry under keywords called discontinued. And then on the SKU screen we'll be able to select this discontinued keyword and be able to use that on reports when we run reports. You can add more keywords here. You can delete a keyword as long as there's no history attached to it, and you can move these around by using your up or your down arrow keys. So if I wanted discontinued to be, closer to the bottom, I could click on discontinued and that puts it in the rename value, and I could move it down by clicking on the down arrow. Or I could move it back up. And maybe if I spelled it incorrectly, I could go to this rename value and just type in a different name and click on rename. So it's really easy to edit and move things around and delete. Like I said, as long as there's no sales history attached to it, you can delete it. Another type of custom entry for a SKU would be seasons, tracking those seasons for each SKU. When did that SKU come in? Was it Spring 09, Fall 09? You could create the seasons, whether you have 4 seasons a year or 2 seasons a year. You can create those, and that way on each SKU you can track when did I get this SKU in for the first time. And each of these custom entries you can select whether it's a single select. So in this example it's a SKU type custom entry, and I've chosen that it's a single select, so when I create the SKU I can only code that season to one season. There's also multiple select, where if I make this custom entry a multiple select, I could choose multiple things about this. And then custom text is where you can actually type in text for that custom entry, if that custom entry is a custom text type. Another type of custom entry is a customer custom entry. So I'm going to show you an example here. This is a customer custom entry. It's called diabetic, and I'm going to select it. And basically, if you're a store that has a lot of diabetic type customers, you can code that customer. Is this a diabetic customer or not? That way when you run your mail list reports, your customer reports, you can select this custom entry and say, I want to only print my customers that are coded as diabetic. So you can be as creative with this as you want. And again, you can make this custom entry a single select, multiple select, or custom text. And you can also do it where it's required. So is this custom entry a required field? Like a lot of times when you create a SKU custom entry for seasons, a store owner wants that to be a required field because they always want, when someone creates a SKU, to code it to a season. So in that particular situation, when we created the custom entry for seasons, we would make that required. The other type of custom entry is for stores. So I'm going to do that. I don't have an example in here for stores, so we're going to click on stores and we're going to go to the custom entry name. This could be like for a multiple store operation where you have multiple stores. Some of them are in malls, some of them are standalone, some of them are strip malls. Maybe your stores are all over the United States where you want to create a custom entry to show where they're at on the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, etc. So I'm going to type in for the custom entry type, we're going to call it store type, and I'm going to click on create route. That puts it at the top right here. Now I can go to this enter value and I can start typing in what I want to keep track of. So here I'm going to type in for my first one standalone store and click on add. The next one I'm going to type in mall store and click on add. And then the other one I'm going to do strip center and click on add. So now I have my different store types that I want. And when I'm done, I can just click on save. And I'm going to make this just a single select, because each store is going to be either a standalone, a mall store, or a strip center. It's not going to be a multiple choice type thing. And if I wanted to make it required, I can click on required and then click on save down at the bottom. And now I have my new custom entry for stores. So if I click on the lookup, click on more, I will now see my new custom entry that I just created called store type, and the custom entry type is store. If I wanted to edit that, I could just click on select. That would bring that back up, and I can add to it or I can delete as long as there's no history, move these around, do what I want here. And you'll see that it shows that this is a store custom entry, and it's single select and it's required. So where you'll find these custom entries once you've created them is for the SKUs, you'll find it under Manage SKUs. For the stores, will be under Manage Stores, and the customers will be at the point of sale. When you go to create a new customer, you can add what that customer is. There will be custom entry types that you can select for those customers. So I just pulled up the Manage SKU screen, and down to the bottom right, it will show you all of the custom entries that you have available. So when you go to create that SKU, if any of these apply, then you can put one of these custom entries in. And if it's required, you'll see a blue line like you do here for available to POS on and supplier code. If it's not required, you won't see this blue line. And if you want to do a lookup, you can just do the %, and that gives you a lookup of all of your options. So if you wanted to put a custom entry for seasons, you could just select which one, and there you have your custom entry. This way, any report that you run, you can go to the custom entry section and maybe you want a list of just everything but this particular season, or you want to exclude this season. You'll be able to do that based on your custom entries. It just gives you added information to be able to pull when you do your reporting. And here I am on Manage Customer. This is on the back end, but you'll also see these custom entries at the point of sale when you're adding a new customer. So now I have these custom entries that, once I create a customer or if I have an existing customer, I can code them to one of these custom entries. Then I can run a customer list type report. And if I just want this item, or if I want to exclude certain custom entries for customers, I can do so. Gives you a lot of great information. And then the last type of custom entry, now you see that I'm in store setup, you'll see it added a custom entry. So store type, I can put the type of store when I first create my store in the system, or even after. I can pull up one of my existing stores and put a type there. Again, if I put the %, it'll show me my options, and I can select which type of store that is. So let your creative juices flow. All the options, there's so many different options that you can do for these custom entries for SKUs, stores, or customers. It's all up to your ideas, how you want to create them, and then you'll be able to pull out that type of information from your reporting to help you run your business.